New Thought Media Network proudly presents Lindsay Leimbach, Practicing Infinite Possibilities, Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And now, here's Lindsay.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. That was a strange start, wasn't it? I was like, what's going on? Welcome to PIP, Practicing Infinite Possibilities. And when we have infinite possibilities, some of them can be great and some of them not so great. And so this morning I was really getting ready for our show because I want to talk about the Hurricane Ian and my trip to see my parents and balancing the yin and the yang of the life, absolute seeing destruction. And how do you process that? And how do you get into regrowth of that? And so I've been, finding the pictures and making sure they were up. And then when I got onto the show, my camera gave out. And I was like, that's interesting. Infinite possibilities. Maybe the camera gives out. Maybe the internet goes off. But if you do what I say in practicing the ABCs of PIP, being aware, was I getting frustrated? Yeah. I was like, this is not meant to happen when you were ready an hour ago and all of a sudden the camera gives out. So I was aware of my frustration. I could feel it. I could feel it in my body. I could feel it in that quick reaction. Do you ever let one of those words slip like, something, and then you take a breath and you say, wait, I got infinite possibilities going on here. Infinite possibilities, and I get to make a choice. And I knew that if I was going to be upset about the situation, then the show wouldn't go well and I wouldn't be happy and I wouldn't be able to deliver this whole thing I put together about Ian that I really want you guys to see. And I just said, okay, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You get into that higher consciousness and say, well, this is the first example I get to show you guys in the ABCs of being aware, taking the breath, and then making a choice. And my intention is to have a fabulous time with you all. So I am so happy that you all are here watching the PIP Show, Practicing Infinite Possibilities. And let's take a dive. Let's take a dive about, well, we could go into COVID, we could go into hurricanes, we can go into war. I mean, there's many things on the outside of this world that bombards us. You just turn on the news and you see it all the time. And so we have to be really aware of what are we bringing into ourselves, and remembering that the life doesn't happen to us, it happens through us, and that we have this beautiful, absolute beautiful vessel of God called yourself. And in this beautiful vessel of God called yourself, I name mine Lindsay. I don't want to be too attached to that, but it is what I have to give to this world, is the dynamic of being a 56-year-old woman who is married, divorced, remarried, second and best husband, and has 2 stepkids and two biological kids and all that, and being a principal and special ed and all that, and then coming here and taking classes in New Thought, series 1, 2, 3, 4, and all that I get to learn. All that is called me, but that's just actually the fuel that I give into my brain and my body as this vessel of God to be able to connect, to be in the flow, to be in that universal flow. So anyway, we come back to, what are we doing today? How in today's world, how in this present moment can I help this vessel go to the higher consciousness of life, to be the best I can be under the circumstances I have, whatever is presented in front of you, whatever. So the camera doesn't work. Well, that's the circumstance. Does it define me? No. Is it something I need to allow to come through me so I can come to a solution and be the best I can be? The answer is yes. So that's what PIP's about, practicing. I mean, that's the big word, practicing. Because life is just a practice. And people say, what do you mean? Well, if you learn how to play one song on the piano, you have to practice it. But once you're done that song, then you go ahead and you play a different song. And then you need to practice that song. And then when you finish that song, you learn a new scale or a new song or whatever it is. And you keep going and going and going. And that's why I say life is a journey. It's this practicing journey of learning how to understand this vessel, how to fuel this vessel, how to keep it open and centered so you can do your highest and your very best of whatever is in front of you. A good example is my mother-in-law, beautiful, just love her so much, and she lives in Woodland Hills in California. And for whatever reason, their power went out yesterday, and she lives by herself. So she came and she slept up here with us. Did anyone plan that to happen? No. Was it the right thing to happen? The answer is yes. So the lights went out. That happened to her. But her consciousness and her alignment is like, I am loved. I can come on other solutions. I am not a victim of life. And that's the bottom line. If you keep practicing and you see it as a journey, you're not a victim of life. You are actually a vessel for life to be expressed. I think that's really good. I love that. You are a vessel for God to express life. And we take care of our vessel emotionally, psychologically, intellectually, physically. We do the best we can with what we have, right? All right. So let me see. Let me take this off and let me go down to my pictures because I really want to show them to you. So a couple weeks ago, I was meant to go in the beginning, actually, of December. I was meant to go see my parents in Florida. They live near Fort Myers. I'll show you actually on a map. But I got COVID. So that was out. So that didn't happen. So once again, was I a victim? No. I had to practice the infinite possibilities, and we decided for me to come just a couple weeks in the beginning of January. So that's what I did. So I woke up early in the morning. For me to get to where they live, Fort Myers, it takes a full day because there's no direct flight from LA. So I got in the car and the sun was rising, and here it is. And look at this sunrise. My husband very kindly was driving me, and look at all the cars on the road. This is a miracle, guys. I just want you to know right here is the infinite possibilities of miracles happening every moment. There was no one on the road. It was so beautiful. Now, normally it takes, I'm going to go like this. Normally it takes about an hour and a half to get to the airport. But we got there because of that so quickly. And then I walked in. Here I am going to my gate. I got through. I got dropped off. I got through check-in. I got my bags checked. I got through security and got to my gate. And it took 45 minutes. I'm telling you, that was mind-blowing. Have any of you ever feel like you were in a time warp? It's just like, how did I do that? Sometimes it takes 45 minutes just to drive halfway to the airport. And we weren't really speeding. I mean, we were doing the normal amount of time. It's just everything was open. I felt like, I know it sounds weird, but I felt like Moses, like God had totally taken the ocean away and boom. And to me, that was a sign that I was going exactly where I was meant to be. When all that happened with such great ease, I'm like, oh, this trip has a lot of divine feeling in it. I felt like it was like the green flags. I'm always looking. If I see a red flag, it doesn't mean I stop, but it means I come super aware. And if I keep seeing the green flags like that, the ease of stuff, I keep going, oh, well, this is where I'm meant to be. This is where I'm meant to be. So my parents picked me up, and here's a picture of them in their new golf cart. And this is them on the island. You see, they live right next to the water. They live at a place called Shell Point Community retirement community. It used to be called Shell Point Village, so I like to call it there. And it's this little island that's right next to Sanibel Island. And so when Ian, the storm, came, here's a picture of this. It was a direct hit. So if you can see where the eye of the hurricane is right there, and it's going straight in, and there's these little islands that it's about to hit, that's Sanibel Island, Captiva Island, that's Fort Myers. It was a direct hit with storm surges of 12 feet and so forth, and it caused absolute destruction. So just so you know, my parents' island, if this was where they lived, their house was on this side, their condo, looking out this way on the water. And the water surge came this way and then went that way. So they were facing away. So my parents were one of the fortunate people in which they were on the second floor and the storm surge did not go into their home. But the people that lived on this side of the island, it was a direct hit. So it really was just where you lived on how it affected you. It totaled most of the cars on the island because they're all washed right over. And the golf cart, that's a new golf cart, took out the golf carts, things like that. It had absolute destruction on that. And it was very traumatic for everyone who was there, because even if it wasn't you who lost your stuff or had to be evacuated, it could be your neighbors just 100 feet away, 200 yards away, and they could have lost everything. And everyone, it takes a village, especially when you're in retirement homes. Everyone loves and supports each other. It's just an absolute incredible thing. And they rose up. They rose up. They rose up, and the community rose up, and the people rose up, and they helped each other. They took each other in. They took each other in. Sometimes we don't see the love that we have between each other and the support we really have until something tragic happens. But it is this underlying current that there is good, there is love, there is support. And we have to attune our vessel into feeling it even when things aren't bad. Why does the world have to be hit so hard to wake up? We get a choice to wake up all the time and see it all the time. But a lot of times it rises out for the collective conscious to see after a disaster. So these people really joined together. I'm going to fast forward down to these pictures because I want to show you a different picture. This is a picture of my mom and I with one of my mom's good friends. And I am 56. My mom is 76. And her good friend that we're visiting with, lives alone and is just a darling, is 99. She's turning 100 years old. On March 27th, I think, is her 100th birthday. And here's our hands together. And I just took this picture because we're all sorority sisters. We're all Kappa Alpha Thetas. And so when I went in and I got to meet her, we did the secret hit. She said, "Now give me the secret handshake." And I was like, oh my gosh, my sorority sister's calling me out. My 100-year-old sorority sister's calling me out. I have to remember it. I haven't given that secret handshake in, I don't know, 30 years. So we had this combinations combined, and she lives in this village too. She lives in this village. She is part of this love and this unity that brought people together. So through destruction, through trauma, the heart sometimes cracks open. Well, if we allow it, it always will be open. And it shines so bright. And that's really the phoenix. I love to think of the phoenix. Through the fire, then comes the birth of the phoenix. And for some of you who know, I love Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. Who out there loves Harry Potter? And there is a role in Harry Potter where Dumbledore's bird is sitting there, and he goes over to it, and the bird disintegrates. And Harry Potter looks at Dumbledore going, I'm so sorry I didn't touch your bird. And he said, oh no, it's a phoenix. And sometimes it gets really sick looking, and then it goes on fire, and then you watched it birth back up. And when it birthed back up, it was newer and better. And that's what I like to feel when things on the outside hit me so hard. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to be on fire. This is going to be so horrible. I can't believe the pain or the suffering that I'm in right now. And then I like to think of this phoenix. I'm like, well, as long as I can take a breath, and when I start to heal again, when I start to come out, I'm going to come out stronger and better. And that's what I kind of saw at Shell Point Village, and in Fort Myers and on Sanibel Island, is that we trust. I love this. Here we go. Here, this is Wayne. Thank you, Wayne. All the world is made of faith and trust and pixie dust. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. The faith that there is this underlying goodness, this underlying rebirth, this way that we all can be the phoenix, even when we feel like we've been burnt down to the core. We all can be rebirthed into it and trust into it. And I love that pixie dust, because what he's saying is, and the mystery that I can't define, but I know exists, the synchronicity, the aha moments, the miracles that happen. Me getting to the airport and all the way to my gate in 45 minutes, that is pixie dust. And you have to trust the world that it exists, this underlying current of the miracle of life being expressed as you. My dad's here. I just want to say thanks for the kind words. Well, Dad, always. You and Mom, I just love you guys so much. So we're going to go back to my story. I don't want to get too far off of Ian. So Ian came, and this is Sanibel Island is right next to where they live. And we always go in there. And I've been there since 1976. And this is the causeway to Sanibel Island. Just one picture of it. It actually got washed away at parts where it just didn't even exist. And so it was closed. And they had to use ferries to get over to the island. But when I got there, they had opened the island just that week so other people that didn't need ferries could go. And so this is us driving over to the island. How did they rebuild this causeway and these bridges? And literally it was washed away, and it is a huge bridge. You can Google it and see many more pictures of it. The pixie dust. What humans can do and what nature can do if we work together. It's amazing if we work together. That gets me so excited. So here's a picture of a while back. We always would go to the Mucky Duck, and this is my brother, my mom and dad and I. And you see all the green foliage and so forth at the Mucky Duck. And this is actually a little island after Sanibel Island called Captiva. And it's one of our favorite places to eat. Well, this was taken, I think, in 2019. So that was before even the pandemic. And now this is what it does. It survived, or the body of it survived. You can see on the right-hand side, there's that pole. That is the sign that we're standing under. Look at all the trees. I want you guys to really see in these trees. Some of the palm trees are still up. So a lot of the foliage, it might be the trees themselves are still up, but there's no leaves on it. Here. Another one of our favorite places that we love to go is the lighthouse. And actually at this lighthouse has this wonderful beach. And the top is before Ian and the bottom is after. And you can see that the buildings are just gone. I mean, they're just disappeared. And of course, they didn't disappear. They're somewhere sitting on the bottom of the ocean now. They got swept off the island. Um, at this place, my brother and I, and the trip you just saw, we were out shelling. They have beautiful shells, and we were out in the water, and a dolphin swam up to us only 10 feet away. It was so incredible. The place has pixie dust all over it. I just love this place. But you can see. And so let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, wow, you're like, oh, this is so devastating. But I want to talk a little bit about the trees that I saw because they were amazing. The trees that had leaves on them, all the leaves got dropped. So then they just like sticks. And they don't have winter there like we do up here where we have trees that drop their leaves. Their leaves are meant to stay on all year round. It's very like for lack of tropical, jungly. But the somehow something innately within the trees knew to release the leaves when the storm and just let them go. And by that means there weren't sails in the wind pushing the trees to pull them over. And so a lot of the trees actually survived. And so when I wish I had a picture of it, but when I went back 3 months later after it, these trees all started to have leaves all over them. They're all coming back. And then if you saw the palm trees that survived, they dropped all their leaves except for like 2 or 3 palms. And they were right there. The buildings didn't make it because they're not flexible, right? But the trees made it because they were flexible. And they're all growing back. Nature doesn't stop. Nature keeps growing. And who is nature? You are. You are an expression of nature. You are the natural process of being a human being. When you cut yourself, your body starts to heal. But it takes time. And that's where people run into the problem that when they say that they want to be the phoenix, they've gone into the dark night of the soul, or they've gone into some physical trauma, or they've been environmental trauma. Instantaneously, they don't have the ability to allow the natural course of the God-given course of the universal energy to have time. It takes time. It takes time. In the present moment, we have to accept where we're at, accept whatever has happened. It doesn't mean that we're going to stay there, but we have to allow the universal pixie dust, the magic of the world, to take time and stay in our highest truth the best we can with what we got. The best we can with what we got. All right, I wanted to show you, we went to Grandma Dot's, and this place was absolutely destroyed, but they were bringing it back to life. I love this statue. Do you see this dove? It survived. It's a brass statue. You can see that its fins have been broken. It's because at the time all the boats fell everywhere. This had a huge dock full of boats, and so obviously damaged this statue. But even though that they've cleaned it up, you know what was in the water? Look at that. Can you see that? Go that way. Can you see that? That's a dolphin. They had so many dolphins. When we went there, what they did is they set up a food truck, and they were cooking out of a food truck so we could sit outside, and they were back in business. And I sat there and I watched these dolphins playing and playing and playing. The expression of life moves on. So if you feel like you've had an Ian, maybe it's a physical Ian from a health issue, or environmental Ian, or a financial Ian, whatever, your own personal hurricane that hits you, hold it. It's okay. Hold it. You can be sad. You can be upset. But know that this wonderful magic of the world, of God being expressed, will go and heal with time. It's so important. I wrote this. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. I love this. I call it the power of 3. A lot of times, I'm a mindfulness coach, and I love coaching. And I tell my clients, always remember the power of 3. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, when something happens on the outside, give yourself 3 seconds before you react, or 3 minutes or 3 hours or sometimes 3 days. And I'll tell you, with Ian, it was 3 months later. Give yourself time, because sometimes we have this adrenaline rush and this cortisol rush, and we go and we shut down our higher level of conscious thinking, and we go into our old habits, and our old habits might not serve us. Sometimes they do. If your old habit is that you go into prayer or you go into meditation or you go into breathing, amen. Let it go. That's great. But if it goes into, I can't believe this is happening to me, what in the world is going on, then that doesn't work. We need to take our breath, get ourselves centered. Remember that things aren't happening to you, they're happening through you. And when through you means they can happen through your higher consciousness, through the vehicle called you, at your higher consciousness. And that's when the infinite possibilities of good ideas and of kindness and love and compassion, empathy, and joining together actually start to work. All right, let's see. Let's get back to that. Just love this. Here's Wayne. Life's sparkling wellspring. And it's true. Life has, you're not in a drought. There's no such thing as a drought when it comes to higher consciousness. It is always there. The possibility of love and kindness and goodness is always there. All right, let's see. I'm going to go down. I have to sometimes have to remember to shift these off. So, okay, there we go. Go back into this. So, I've shown you these. So, I wanted to show you another section. Oh, we're still at the power of 3. I got to get that banner off. This is all part of producing yourself. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here we go. This is at Sanibel Island, and there used to be the cutest hotel right there, but it's gone. Doesn't exist. That's okay. But you can see how the trees right at that, this is right up to the ocean water right out there. You can see them all coming out. You can see that the roads are being cleaned right here. And the debris is being hauled off and so forth. And we were able, one of our new favorite restaurants on Sanibel, we actually got to go there and eat. And my mom, in honor of the fun of knowing that good is there, the fun is there, she ordered a drink and it had a duck in it. Is that the cutest thing? And so here's a picture of her drinking her drink with the duck. And then we were starting to play with the duck. Look at that. It's on our ice cream. And here we are posing with the duck. So my mom has it in her hand. And I wanted to bring that out because I wanted you to realize once again, we saw this destruction. We went around, but then what did we do? We wanted to go to a restaurant. We wanted to spend money on Sanibel Island. We wanted to participate and give back and help the people there the best we can. People are rebuilding. Check that out. Look at that. That's what it looked like. And this is what it looks like. The people are rebuilding. And how do people rebuild? Through community. So if you feel that you're not at a place at this time in which life is hitting you hard and you have a own personal Ian, well, I just read a really good article and it was talking about the number one way for people to get out of depression or get unstuck is to lean in and develop their relationships in community with others. Reach out. Reach out. You can reach out to a coach like myself. You can reach out to your minister like Rev Melissa, who's on this, and Rev Robert, and there's lots of them on New Thought Media Network. You can reach out to your best friend, or if you need your therapist. But community, human beings and nature, we all work together. We all can help each other. We all can help each other to be the best we possibly can. And to remind us that life isn't happening to us, it's happening through us. That's why some people who have at the same experience at the exact same time, but they have different reactions. It's traumatizing and it's not so traumatizing for another. It's because they are processing the information different with the filter system they have. And we get to work on that filter system. We are the people that load our programming. We are the ones who align ourselves with gratitude and love and align ourselves with God and our higher thinking. So I want to thank New Thought Media Network so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about my holiday with my parents. I obviously want to thank them so much. I want to remind everyone that New Thought Media Network is a nonprofit organization and runs on donations from you all. So thank you so much for keep donating to allow me to do PIP, practicing infinite possibilities. Remember that everyone at some point has their Ian. Something big happens to us that really makes us feel like we are burning, like in a fire, but we are the phoenix. That is our pixie dust. Together we can rise up even better with love and kindness and lots of support. Thank you, Simone, for help me together. There we go. Let's see. There we go. Thank you for showing up and supporting me today. And thank you, Dad. Come back soon. You know it. There's no way you can keep me away. I love you all. I love everyone that showed up today. God bless you all. Have a marvelous weekend. Until next week. Bye. Keep practicing infinite possibilities. Let's see. I still am doing all the getting my branding. I haven't mastered as well as some other people, but that's okay. That's something I get to practice.